Hello. Today is Tuesday, March 24th, 2026. My name is Daniel Mullany, and behind the camera again we have Nico Greina. And today we are here to film another video source inspection for Sitek Process Solutions. Today we'll be reviewing a manual acid wet bench configured for 200 millimeter. This system consists of 4 different process baths and 3 quick dump rinsers for the DI water rinse. Our customer is located here in the United States and their PO number ends in 421. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and describe each of these baths and then demonstrate a process run on each one as well as the QDRs. And so what I'm actually going to do first then is go ahead and enable all of the QDRs. So let me go ahead and enable QDR2 and QDR3. So essentially the first time that you enable the quick dump rinser, we have it filled to its idle set point, so that way it actually can be used after you do a acid process run from the wafers. So all of them are now filling and prepping to be used, which normally, in the field you'd be applying wafers to them, although today we're just demonstrating functionality. So listing off our baths in order. Here we have an HF bath that is configured with PVDF and recirculation. It is an ambient bath. Here we have a Piranha, which uses the traditional quartz bath. This one is a static bath, but it is heated with a wrapped heater, and also includes a nice feature here, which is a bottle that can auto peroxide spike into the tank here, based on a volume that you set on the metering pump and a period of time that you can define in the recipe here. We also have an SC1 bath here. This is going to be configured recirculation with PVDF and uses an inline heater. And then the last one we have here is a chrome etch, and the chrome etch is going to be heated using an immersion heater, but is static. This one does not have recirculation. And so this bench that we have here is actually a nice blend of a lot of the different features that you can use when designing a manual process bench through us here at Sitek. We have features such as a peroxide spike, we have an inline heater, an immersion heater, a wrapped heater, different bath materials, some recirculating, some not. So it's kind of a good overview of the general types of bath configurations and bench configurations that we can build for you for your own custom wet bench. So, all right, let's go ahead. The QDRs are ready here, so I'm going to go ahead and process QDR1. Okay. Now this customer asked us to configure the software with the ability to maintain the spray on or off during the process cycle. So this one is currently programmed with the spray on. Essentially when we start, we're going to have the 4-inch dump valve at the bottom of the QDR open, dump out, and now we are filling and spraying back up from the bottom until we'll be back to cascading over the top of the 4-sided weir. Everything's looking good on that one. We're just doing a single cycle QDR for the demonstrations today for time's sake. Processing QDR2 and processing QDR3. Okay, all of them are running good here. Spraying and dumping to the time that was prescribed by the recipe here. We've got 20 more seconds left to fill on this one before it has completed the process cycle, and the same with the other ones. And so that's how the bench is also configured, is that you can switch between any of the operations here and run the system simultaneously. So all 3 QDRs can run simultaneously, and that should be expected because when using a bench in the fab, some of your process lots might finish at different times or at the same time. You'll need to then transfer them over into the proper QDR and run it. So now we can see that our QDR is finished, so we get a green light indicator here that the process is complete. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and acknowledge it on here as well. And now the QDR is going back into its normal idle state, which is currently programmed to be empty. So what it just did was it just dumped out right here. But that's all just programmable within our recipe. You can have its idle state be full, you can have its idle state be empty, you can have the spray permanently on, off, all of that is programmable within the software in order to have the system configured the way that you need it for your wet process. Okay, so again here, now we're going to go to operation 2, which is completed. We're going to go to operation 4. So the system has, as described in the software, 4 operations. You have operation 1, which has a dedicated QDR1. Operation 2, which uses the second dump rinser. Operation 3, which shares this dump rinser. And then operation number 4, which has its own dedicated dump rinser again. So between the 4 operations, only one of them shares a QDR, and that's just for the build the deck top layout that was determined by the customer to be the right fit for their use. Okay, so now let's go ahead and go through the operations. Operation number 1, I'm going to activate the recirculation pump, and because there is no heater on this bath, it's already ready to go. So we'll go ahead now and process tank number 1. So for these demos here, I've already pre-programmed each recipe to be 30 seconds. And so that way we can demonstrate the fact that it's able to have a recipe, complete the recipe, notify the operator, and then have a successful run logged in the software. Okay? 4 seconds left on this one. Okay? Tank 1 process completed. Perfect. And now, so the way that the system also is expecting the features to be on, if I was to turn off the recirculation pump right here now, you'll see that tank 1 is no longer ready. And that's because in the recipe, we've programmed operation 1 to require the recirculating pump to be on in order to have the tank ready for processing. In the software, you can tell it to look for the pump on or the pump off, and that's how it'll know that the bath is prepared for the operator to bring the wafers in and run their process. Coming to operation 2 now. We're going to go ahead and enable tank 2 and enable the heater. So this one's actually dropped in temperature a little bit right here. So our tank temp is going to need to heat up. And actually, so we're currently programmed at 55 degrees Celsius here. That's going to take too long for us to heat up for this video. So what I'll do is I'll jump into the recipe. We're now on tank 2. Instead, I'm going to set the set point to 21 degrees Celsius, which is about where it's at right now. We're going to go ahead and come back. And now you can see right away, tank 2 is now ready. So by determining the set point, that determines whether or not the system will allow you to even process. If not, it's going to say not ready and you can't actually start the timer to do the recipe. Okay, so tank 2 starting, and I have also programmed in here the metering pump. So I heard it, the metering pump actually pumped for a couple seconds right there. For the video, I did every 10 seconds for 2 seconds. So I should hear it again here shortly. Okay. There we go. Metering pump just activated. You can actually see the light turn on as well to give you a visual indication that it's working. Tank 2 process complete. Everything good. Now we're going to jump over to tank 3. Recirc pump on. Heater on. Tank temps at 49. I programmed this one to 49 earlier before starting the video, trying to get the right temperature, and looks like I nailed it because we're right at temp, and now we're able to run the process. Okay, so processing tank 3 now. Because you can run the system simultaneously, I'm jumping over to the next tank because I want to see where our set point is. 45C, that's not going to work because we're at 22.5. So for the purpose of the video, coming into the recipe, 22.5, enter. And now we're going to go ahead and go back. I'm going to go ahead and enable, turn on the heater. And now tank 4 is also ready. We can also see the alarm going off here in the green light. So we're going to jump back to operation 3, which is where we can see our process is complete. So what I just did right there is actually a good brief example about changing between the different operations and initiating or adjusting values as needed. Obviously, when you're in the field, you will not be doing so much recipe adjustment as I just did, because somebody on the process team will have already defined that recipe and the duration and prepared that. But there will be times when maintenance might need to work on the system and jumping back and forth. But you can see it's really easy in order to do. And what's great as well about the way we design our slick software is that when you jump between the operations, it's very easy to tell exactly how the tanks function. I'm going to go ahead and process tank 4 while I talk. We get a visual indication on the status of the tank, as well as we're able to see then the routing of the tubing, the valves, where the filter is, and everything like that. So it's very intuitive to use the software. That's one of the most important parts from our perspective about how our Sitek software works, is it's very intuitive. You can go between our systems where you're going to see the same type of interface and organization of where the icons are. So here I can see the recipes menu and alarms, and I come back to the bench and I also see my recipe menu and alarms in the same position. So I'm able to go in between different Sitek equipments and know how to use them. Okay, perfect. So pretty straightforward right there. I'll go ahead and turn off the recirculating pump. Makes a little bit of noise, and for the video, we want to just try to keep the audio clear here. So what I did is during the video, jump between the recipes. I'll come back to this page one more time and just provide some of my observations. We have our duration, our temp set points, our offset, so that way we can calibrate for the sensors instead of physically calibrating the sensors every single time. Just set offset over time in order to make sure that we're looking at the proper temperatures. A high process set point, max temperature before opening the drain for safety purposes. We can also see for any of the QDRs the number of cycles, how long to cascade, spray, drain, fill for, and again the same type of information of set points, offsets, and overtemp settings. Here's a really much more straightforward one because this one is an ambient, so we're just really going to determine whether or not we want the pump on or off. And then the last feature which I mentioned, which is the metering pump. So what is the duration for it to be on, and what is the delay in between spikes of peroxide? And not only do you have to can you program it there, but you can also manually provide the spiking here from the front screen. So however you determine it to be the right fit for your use case with any of these tanks, we have the programming available, allow you to program it the way that you need. Also here from the main screen, we have our system logbook, which shows everything that happens with the system running right here. We have our alarms logbook, which logs all of our alarms specifically. We have our alarms page here, which will show you any alarm that occurs with the system. It'll actually pop up. You can see briefly when the software jumps into the alarm page. Well, that time it didn't pop up, but sometimes the software just lags a little behind like that, and you'll see some of the icons on there. This entire page, when working on the back end to program the software, is covered in alarms, and so each one of them is located in the proper position to give you a visual indication, so if an alarm occurs, where it's really happening on the system. Okay, and then lastly, we'll come into our menu, which is password protected, just like the recipes. And this is where we have the ability to jump into the system settings, the password, and setting the clock, and also the ability to use our manual mode, which the manual mode allows you to individually actuate any of the baths. However, this is maintenance mode is currently not active because we have processes working on the system right now. So that way you can't jump into there and try to run it on accident there. So let's see here, disable tank 2, disable tank 4. Okay, should give us the option now to jump into manual mode. We'll have to take off more of the operational features here in order to enter manual mode on some of the other operations here. Because I can see, oh, the process tank 2 is still on. So basically if I go through here and then disable all the rest of the features, I can then go into manual mode, which allows me to individually actuate any of the functions on the web bench. So, all right, then lastly, just showing underneath each of our bath areas here. I can just swing these doors open really quick. You can see that everything is really clean cut and labeled appropriately. We have labeling on each of the filter housings, the pumps, the valves. Everything that you see labeled in here also matches the labeling within the software and also matches the labeling on a schematic and or a pneumatic diagram and in the manual. And so that's a really important part about the way that you design the bench as well. Having consistent labeling from the software to the physical system itself, and as well in the written documentation in the manual. When you keep that consistent, it allows for easy troubleshooting. And that's one of the most important things that you can do when designing a piece of wet process equipment like this is keep it simple and practical and easily organized for maintenance. Having been in roughly 150 fabs myself, I've seen all different types of bench configurations, and a poorly designed bench is a pain in the butt. There's acid all over it, having to work on it, requiring decontamination, awkwardly organized, poor maintenance access points. All of that leads into a really tough time to maintain equipment. And maintenance is one of the things that we think about first and foremost when designing and building out a piece of equipment. Because the reality is, every piece of equipment is going to break down at some point, and when that happens, we want you to have an easy opportunity to repair it. So that'll actually conclude our video source inspection for today. Thank you for taking the time to view it. Again, my name is Daniel, and this video is filmed for Sitek Process Solutions. If you'd like to learn more about our products, please check out some more of the videos that we have on our YouTube channel and our website. There's not only source inspections, but also how-to, educational, and instructional videos on how to use our equipment, which just makes your life easy for maintaining it. You can take a look at other resources that we have on our website, or what I'd prefer most is to just give us a call. You can reach us at 916-797-9000, and if you want to reach me directly, dial extension 2201. Thanks so much for your time, and have a great day.